Mr. President, every year, this Assembly has rejected the imposition of laws and regulations with extraterritorial impact and all other forms of coercive economic measures that hurt the progress and prosperity of the people the world over. Last year, 187 member states voted in favor of Resolution 78/7, expressing their strong support to lifting of the embargo. The General Assembly has also called upon all states to refrain from promulgating and applying, and to repeal and invalidate laws and measures that have extraterritorial effects affecting the sovereignty of other states, in conformity with their obligations under the UN Charter and international law. There is no doubt that the continued existence of this embargo, in contravention of the overwhelming opinion as expressed by this Assembly, undermines multilateralism and the credibility of the United Nations itself. Mr. President, as the world's largest democracy with abiding faith in multilateralism, India stands in solidarity with this Assembly in its unambiguous rejection of domestic laws having extraterritorial impact. Such embargoes have the effect of impeding the full achievement of economic and social development by the population of the affected country, in particular, women and children. They also hinder the full enjoyment of human rights, including the right to development, food, medical care, and social services, among other things. India has consistently opposed any unilateral measures by countries that impinge on the sovereignty of another country. As in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the recently adopted Pact for the Future has also strongly urged states to refrain from promulgating and applying unilateral economic measures not in accordance with international law and the Charter of the United Nations that impede the full achievement of economic and social development, particularly in developing countries. Mr. President, successive reports of the Secretary General have established that the embargo, particularly through its extraterritorial effects, has adversely affected the Cuban people and the developmental efforts of the country, with particularly devastating effects owing to shortages of essential commodities. The continued embargo would severely impact Cuba's ability to implement the 2030 Agenda in the 6 years that remain. Mr. President, people-to-people contact holds immense possibilities for fostering better understanding between nations. There is no doubt that the people of Cuba can contribute much to the needs of the global community today. But to enable this, the international community needs to intensify its efforts to promote an environment free from sanctions and embargoes. India hopes that the embargo will be withdrawn at the earliest and supports the draft resolution moved by Cuba.